Good evening. This is Jimmy C, host of the Instapreneur Podcast, and we are back. Except today, I do not have a guest. It's just myself. On this podcast, I'm going to be having lots of guests, but I'm also going to be talking about my experiences in business and certain topics just by myself. So today, it's just myself. So anyways, what we're going to talk about today is building value in business and the norms of just life, but specifically the fact that I'm 26 and the norms of being a kid and kind of breaking them, or just kind of the norms in general. So with that being said, I first want to talk about building value. But before I get there, what it is, let's see, tonight it is currently 11:46. I need to be at work tomorrow morning. Had a long, busy day today training dogs at the dog kennel. Then I came home at 6 o'clock, and I've been meditating every day lately. There's a lot of proven great things behind it, and it really refreshes me. So what I've been doing is I get off work, I come home, I meditate for 20 to 30 minutes, and then I go to the gym. And it just, like I said, it totally refreshes me after a long day of work. So if you haven't meditated, I strongly suggest doing it. I keep it pretty simple. All I do is go to YouTube, type in meditation music, find one you like. Really easy. There's a lot of them that last for hours. And I just throw it on my laptop or my phone, set a timer on my phone so I don't fall asleep, usually 20, 30 minutes. And I just lay down on a couch or in bed, and I just breathe for, however long we do that, and just kind of think a little bit and relax. But like I said, it really refreshes me, so try that out. But anyways, so today I did that, and then I went to the gym, worked out with a good buddy. Tweaked my ankle a couple weeks ago, so I haven't played basketball lately, but I decided to give it a go today. So we played basketball for an hour, and then we got a good hour and a half lift in. Finished with some stretching and sitting in the sauna for about 10 minutes. And then I came home, and here I am. The reason I'm sharing that with you is a busy day today, and I told myself when I got home from work I was going to meditate, and then I was going to do this podcast. Well, today my 20 or 30 minute meditation turned into more of like an hour. So I didn't really have time because I had to go meet my friend. And I got home, and I told myself, I'm like, dude, I've been procrastinating with things lately in terms of my online dog training business that I'm working on, the Crafty Pup, and just this podcast. So I'm like, you know what, you got to do it, man. You've been telling yourself you're gonna do it, and you keep saying you'll do it, and then next thing you know, it's been like 2 or 3 days, and I haven't done it. So here I am tonight, 11:48 right now, and we are about to talk about building value in business and the norms, and just life. So anyways, I want to talk about building value. So I'm fortunate enough to have some good mentors around who I've learned from, and just throughout my life, I've been raised up in a family business, so I've seen how my parents and my aunt and my cousin and how everyone's done things. And one thing that I've noticed a lot of businesses are very bad at is building value. So many people in today's world are just about the sale. They're just about money, money, money. Give me your fucking money. That's all I want. I mean, you could go about business that way, and I'm sure people are successful, but ultimately, a better way to do things, I guess I don't want to say better way, but a more honest way to do things is by building value. So I'm a big firm believer in doing that. And by the way, you're going to hear me say building value a lot. But when I say building value, for instance, and for me, being a dog trainer, I want to provide my customers with the most valuable information that I can. Because ultimately, in the end of the day, yes, like I do need to pay bills and blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm not just doing this to take these people's money to train their dog. Like the ultimate goal is to help them live a better life with having a well-trained dog. So for me, for instance, I answer everyone's emails. I'll shoot them text messages if they have questions. I always try to get back to them. But my goal in business in general is to provide, and take notes if you have a business and you don't already know this, but it is to provide as much value as I can to the potential client or a customer. So my mindset is like, I want to be the guy that helps you so much that it is kind of dumb for you not to do business with me. And I don't do that in a salesy way or anything. I'm just myself with people. People respect that. And at the end of the day, think of it like, do you want to go do business with some random guy who's just selling you on a bunch of bullshit? Or do you want to do business with someone who's honest, tells you the truth, even though you might not always want to hear the truth, but tells you the truth and helps you fix your problems? You know what I mean? So building value is huge. And touching on that, since I've gotten into the whole running the dog training with my family and then starting my own business, I've studied a lot of the most successful businessmen in the world, or today's modern day very successful people, such as like Grant Cardone or Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, as he's known by, and they're very good at this. And Gary talks about it a lot. It's just, building value and do give results and don't expect anything in return. So for instance, like when I'm working with the dogs, with a lot of these people, I spend way more time than I should or that I'm scheduled to, and I get yelled at because I make people wait 5 or 10 minutes. But the way I look at it is like, well, I'm trying to answer everyone's questions. I don't want to cut you off. If you're asking me a question, I don't want to say, oh, I gotta go. My next person's here. So myself, I found a lot of success in doing that in the last year and a half of really trying to grow and expand the business. And what I've noticed though in other businesses, because I study, or not necessarily study, but I just analyze it, and it's so many people are just about this sale. So for instance, I look at this a lot on Instagram because, there's a lot of people running businesses on Instagram now. And there's multiple people who I don't know personally, but, I followed, or friends follow them and they recommend them, or they're friends with them actually. And so there's one guy who's a bodybuilder. And if you don't know anything about me, I do like to work out. I'm not by any means a bodybuilder, nor am I trying to be. But this one guy has his own cookbook. So I actually DM'd him asking him a couple questions about his cookbook because I was going to buy it. It's like $20. And the dude just never responds. So I didn't buy it. All that dude had to do was answer my question about his cookbook, and he would have made $20. And if I liked it, I would have told people about it. So moral of the story is that's just one example of this guy kind of having an ego on himself and not responding to people. So I've noticed that a lot in the Instagram community. A lot of these people run businesses on there, and I'll shoot them a message just asking them a question about their stuff, and they just don't respond to you. So it's funny because it's like, okay, well, do you. I mean, if you're successful and you're happy, great. But if you provided a little bit more value to your potential customers, they're going to buy from you. So for instance, for me, right now, my Instagram following for my online dog training business isn't huge, but we're working on growing that. But I get people that'll message me occasionally, and I respond to every one. So why? It all goes back to building value. My goal is to help you or help whoever. So I'm not just in it like, I'm the best, I'm the best trainer or whatever, and I'm not gonna message this person back. Like that's how a lot of people think in this world. They get lost in their ego, where it's like you realize, like going back to this bodybuilder who I was telling you about, all that guy had to do was just message me back, and I would have bought his book immediately because I knew I wanted it, but I blatantly didn't not buy it, and I will not buy it now just because of that. So that's one thing that's huge, and I think a lot of people miss that, and a lot of people, like I said, they just get stuck in their ego, and they're so focused on the sale. They're so focused on like, I want your money, I want your money, I want your money, but it's like, okay, that's cool. You could go that route. That's what most people do, but you realize like if you're a little different and provide the authenticity and the human touch to it, it's not only do you build relationships that actually last, but you're providing potential customers with value, and these customers are, without them, you're nothing. So I think a lot of people should look into that, and not only just look into it, but I will say a lot of people just aren't aware of it because they've never been taught or learned. But if you look at some of the most successful people, that's what they do. They're very big at building value. So I do think that is something that most people need to, or a lot of people need to do. Another example, there's another girl. This is a girl. The other one was a guy. There's a girl that I follow on Instagram, and she runs her own. I don't even know what specifically it is, but it's some kind of business, and with like products for skincare or something. I don't even know. But I actually messaged her one day, again, just asking her a couple questions about what she's doing. And same thing, she doesn't respond. Now she targets women. Her audience is mostly women, so she on her Instagram stories she'll always have, ladies, like if you want to make an extra $20 or whatever from your phone, like shoot me a DM, blah blah blah. And it's like, so I shot her a DM, just asking her about it, no response. So again, no value there. She's in all this girl's post, it's all about buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, but she doesn't really provide you with any value at all. So she makes it seem like she does great. I don't know how she does, to be honest, but that's not the point. The point is if this lady, or if this girl, if she went that extra mile to respond to everyone, she would have so many more clients. So that's something that I always did. And then once I started getting mentored by my mentor, Jason, he's on Instagram. He's Jason Stone, or that's his personal account. And his business, his brand is the Millionaire Mentor on Instagram. So once I started getting mentored by him, he taught me a lot of this stuff too, even though I already knew some of it. But hearing it from him is the same thing. And he goes along that same route. He responds to everyone. So, and there's a reason why he has many successful businesses, because he's very good at building value with people and building trust. So that's another big thing in business, is trust. A lot of people, they always like have something to hide, or this, that, and the other, where it's like the one thing that I kind of pride myself in, like, and specifically like in dog training, is I'll tell you what's wrong, and you might not like to hear it because you might be the problem. But if your dog listens to me, great, and doesn't listen to you at all, there's a reason. It's because you don't make them listen, for instance. So I think honesty is a huge thing, and building that trust, and then ultimately it goes back to building value. So I'm going to just kind of touch on the value a little bit more, and then I'm going to transfer to the norms topic. But what's interesting to me is, like I said, like the more I learn about business and the more I grow my business, the more I hit obstacles, hurdles, have successes, everything, it makes me think of things way differently. So for instance, like I said about that guy who I messaged with the bodybuilder, I provide a lot of value to my clients. So when someone doesn't treat me the same way, like I honestly kind of lose interest in doing business with them, because I'm in it to not only use your product, but to potentially build a relationship with you, because that's kind of how life is. It's full of relationships. So it's just interesting to me, and I analyze a lot. Big businesses, little businesses, and so many people are just all focused on money. One of my other mentors had a meeting with some business stuff, and he comes out of the meeting and he's talking to me, and he's like, it's crazy, man, like all these people are just so fucking money hungry, dude. He's like, I don't even care about the money. I mean, obviously take that to a certain degree, you need money to live, but he's like, I'm just trying to help people, man, and these people are just worried about every freaking dollar. So it's just interesting to see that, and look at people and see how the greed gets in their way. But anyways, if you have any questions about value, or if you want me to dive into it more, feel free to you can shoot me a DM on my business, on this podcast account, which is on Instagram. It's at _Instapreneur. Or you can, a little easier to remember, you can always shoot me a DM on my dog training businesses account. It's at the Crafty Pup. But yeah, I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about building value, and I love just helping people out in general. Speaking about helping people out, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. one thing that I'll do is I'll meet people, whether it's online through Instagram or just anywhere, and I like helping people out because ultimately down the road, I want to kind of help consult people on businesses and just give them strategies and things that they can do because a lot of people are unaware of these things. And there's one girl who I've been following her for a while. She's very cool. She posts a lot of self-help stuff, and she's been through a lot, and she's not your ordinary cup of tea, but she takes pride in that. She's herself. So she does what she wants, and if you don't like it, so be it. But anyways, she was creating an online course. And if you don't know, I'm creating an online course in the online dog training stuff. So what was interesting is we start talking because she posts a picture and she's using the same platform I'm using. So I start messaging her, and we're talking about it. And I was like, hey, if you ever have questions, like, I can help you out. So she was kind of like weirded out at first about this because it's just like I'm just some random dude through Instagram. Like, granted, I don't want to literally some random guy. Like, we'd been talking occasionally about business stuff for the last few months, but I told her, I was like, we could hop on a Zoom call, which if you don't know what that is, it's like almost like Skype or a FaceTime, but it records. And so we hop on a Zoom, and we're on there for like 2 hours, and I'm just helping her out. She's giving me ideas too, but I'm helping her out a lot. Telling her some things that I've learned and what I think she could do to make her website look better and to capture emails so she can ultimately provide her prospective clients with valuable information because, her ultimate goal is to sell her course. And so it's just interesting because she was kind of, like I said, like kind of weirded out because it's like, who the hell are you just like randomly offering to help me for free? And that's just who I am personally. Like, I like helping people out. I'm a big fan or a big advocate of the term teamwork makes the dream work. So to do what I want to do in life and business, I can't do it by myself. So when you build healthy relationships with friends, family, other people who have their own businesses, it's cool to see the stuff you can do because you never know when for instance, like if they need me, you never know when someone's gonna need their dog trained, or like if I need to talk to her about like self-help, or she targets women on self-help stuff. So like if she, say one of my good friends needs this, like I could point her in her direction. So just interesting and cool to me to help people out. So like I said, that all goes back to building value. And obviously I didn't charge her anything. It was just for free, but the goal is what I'm getting out of it is not only is it cool to help people out, in my opinion, but I'm also gaining experience on kind of like mentoring people because eventually I want to mentor other people, and obviously right now it's for free, but eventually I kind of, you want to charge people for your time because time is, to myself at least, one of the most valuable things. So anyways, that's enough on value, and like I said, if you have questions, let me know. I love talking about this stuff. But another topic I want to talk about today, and this podcast, unless I get off on a tangent, is not going to be nearly as long as episode 2 with my buddy Mr. Tim. But another thing I want to talk about is just norms. So if you don't know or don't remember, I'm 26 at the moment. And in the last couple of years of doing or trying to do what I'm doing as far as business and really being more focused, I've really noticed these things called norms. And I like to look at what people do and just kind of see why they do specific things. So being 26, a lot of people I know at this age, they move downtown, they go out all the time, and to some people that's cool. To myself, I kind of outgrew that. I just don't like being hungover in the morning anymore. But what I've realized is like the society we live in for generations has preached these norms, and it's not just with young people; it's anyone. But I'm just using younger people since I fall into that category. But it's you got to go live downtown, you got to go out, you got to party, you got to have fun, as people call it. Well, I just want to say to myself, like to me, don't get me wrong, I do like to go out every once in a while, but I think I said I'm just kind of over doing that all the time. But it's very interesting because like people feel like they have to do it because that's what society has has preached on. And it's just interesting to me because when you deviate and you go outside of the norms, people judge you. They look at you funny. But I just want to say, like, if you are someone who does things differently, like, don't get discouraged by that, because as I've touched on in previous podcasts, everyone has different expectations. And I'm going to take a quick sip of water, so give me a second. But everyone has different expectations and goals in life. And I'm not saying at all that anyone has to, like, whatever your goals are, that is totally cool, and I respect that. But if your goal is to build wealth and build businesses or multiple businesses, or develop yourself, self-improvement, self-help kind of thing, or say you've had a rough, a bad relationship or bad family stuff or just anything traumatic, you might go against the norms because that's what's best for you. So don't get discouraged by that. But what I want to talk about is one thing that I've noticed is a lot of younger people, they'll start making decent money and it's the first time they've ever done it. So they go out and they live on their own and they buy a new car, new watches, all this bling bling. And if that makes you happy, that's great. And like I said, I respect that. But one thing that I personally have realized is, and this might sound cliche, but materialistic things, they don't do shit, at least for myself. So when I was younger, I bought shoes, watches, clothes all the time. And then I went to school. I didn't work for a couple of years because I was in school. I was living off of, because I worked full time before I went to school. I took some time off. But anyways, when I graduated school, I didn't have much money. And it really made me realize, like, money is not, everything, but you do need it. But one thing that I've been trying to do, which is different than I would say most people at this age, is to live under my means and to live under my norms. And why do I do that? Well, one, not only am I trying to stay lean as far in terms of money, as far as because I'm funding my own business that I'm starting right now in the Crafty Pub, but two, I've been fortunate to just realize a lot of things. And like I said, for me, having a $80,000 or $100,000 car right now doesn't make sense. Not only does not make sense, because a lot of people do that, but I don't see it helping me in the future. So I'm trying to set up my future in the future that I want. I do need to have some money. So what I've realized is if I start saving now, and I started this when I was 24, I can do things potentially easier when I'm a little older. So, for instance, if you want to invest in something or start a new business or travel, like, you're going to need money. So if you don't spend it on materialistic things, you can save that, and compounding interest is a real thing, folks. But yeah, so anyways, talking back to norms, another thing I would say one that everyone can relate to is work. So going back to your goals, like I said, everyone has different goals. Some people value their freedom more. Some people want to have the weekends off. Some people want to, whatever it is you want to do, that's totally fine. But to other people, you need to work more to get what you want. So, for instance, I know multiple people, my friends included, that work jobs they hate. Well, it's like, if you don't like it, I'm not saying it's the easiest to just go get up and get a new job, but you could work on something on the weekend when you're off and develop a skill. It could be editing videos. It could be, I don't know, growing social media accounts, taking pictures, photography, videography, whatever. Those are just a few examples, but it could be a lot of different things. So instead of sitting there and being miserable all the time, it's like, if you really want to change, because I know some people say they do, but they really, deep down, I don't know if they do. You got to put in the work, and there's gonna be nights, like, for instance, for myself, it is now 12:10 a.m. I got to work in the morning, but I'm passionate about creating this podcast and seeing where it goes, and if it goes nowhere, it's just for fun. But I hope it provides value for my listeners. But there's going to be days where you're going to have to work more. And so myself, for the last year, I've worked a lot. I've had many nights where I work from 8 in the morning to 6 at night at my business, and then I work from 6:30 to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock that night on the Crafty Pup. So is it ideal? No. I mean, it's not like I want to freaking work 24/7, but to get to specific goals, you need to do specific things. So for me, working full time and growing a business with my family, it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of good in it for myself. We've been growing the dog training thing a lot in this last year and a half. It's over doubled where we started last year, so that's great. But like I said, it requires work, and if you do want to start a side hustle or just a side business, whatever it is, it's going to take dedication, commitment. There's going to be struggle, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. But where I'm going with this is, assuming you're like myself and don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings when you're 26, you have to support yourself. So where I'm going with this is, starting a business costs money. Now, granted, my business is an online business, so the startup costs are, I don't want to say minimal, but they're more minimal than it would be if you had to pay rent and get licenses and all these crazy stuff. But where I'm going with this is when you're working, you got to support yourself. So you're going to be working potentially full time, and then finding time to do this on the side. So like myself, when I first started, the Saturdays and Sundays, because I'm off on most Saturdays and Sundays, those were dedicated to the Crafty Pup. I had to do it then. I also would do it during the weeknights, but like I said, some weeknights I'll just be physically too tired, or I'll work out after work, and then I decide I don't want to work anymore because I need to rest. But going back to the norms, for anyone out there who is, people judge them for working too much or whatever, like I said, you can't relate to everyone, because if your goal is to be one of the most successful business people in the world, and your good friend's goal is just to get by and live life and travel a lot and be free on the weekends, I don't know, I'm just making things up, but my point is you guys are going to have two totally different perspectives. So I know I said this before, but I'm a firm believer of taking criticism lightly, because a lot of people can't relate to other people who haven't done what they're doing or trying to do. So if someone's never started a business, they can't say like, dude, you work too much, because you're starting a business because you're passionate about something. So to you, that might not seem like work. So for instance, like myself, when I'm training dogs, very rarely do I look at the clock and I'm like, fuck, it's only 11 a.m. or fuck, it's only 1, I gotta work till 6. It does happen occasionally, but I like what I do. So a lot of times the time flies, because in the morning I'm training all the dogs, in the afternoon I'm training the dogs, and then come later afternoon I meet with people. So when I meet with the people, the time goes by quick. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that analyzing the norms are an interesting topic, because like I said, everyone's got different opinions. Cool. So we touched on norms. We touched on building value. One thing that I do want to say, for those of you who don't know me, what kind of fueled myself to go down the route of working a lot and really fighting towards what I want in life it was all fueled by an accident I got into. So 2 years ago, right before I graduated my senior semester of college, I was in school at Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado, and my grandmother had passed away, and she lived here in Chicago. So I came home for the weekend for the funeral, and I flew back Monday night. On that Monday night, I landed in Durango. My car was at the airport. So I got in my car, and it's about a half hour, 20 minutes to a half hour from campus. So I was driving back. It was Monday night. The football game was on, and of course, myself, I love football. I wanted to get back to watch the game. And I was not paying attention. I was going 85 or 90 miles an hour. The speed limit out there is 75, so I don't know how fast I was going, but I was going over it for sure. And I looked away from the road and I looked up and there was a deer. Now my instincts told me to swerve, so I swerved to the left, back to the right. Well, I overcorrected, so the car loaded and then flipped over to the left. I'm upside down. I thought I was dead. The first initial reaction was, oh fuck, excuse the language, but if you don't know me by now, I swear a lot, but that's what I thought at the moment. And then as it was happening, I was like, shit, man, this is it. You're going out, brother. Like, this was it. And then I'm upside down, not dead, and spinning in the middle of the street, and I see sparks everywhere. And the first thing that came to my mind was, get out of here, because this thing's going to blow up. Well, I got out of there. I escaped with no injuries, just a cut on my elbow, which is a miracle because I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. But now that story's told, that really changed me because I've always been driven and business, orientated. But that accident was the best blessing in my life to this moment because it really like ignited a spark inside of me that I didn't even know existed. But it was crazy because ever since then I said, you know what, no more fucking around in life. You got to do what you want to do because life is short. And my biggest thing is I don't want to look back when I'm older and regret things. So now I'm trying to do what I want to do. And if I do it, cheers to me. If not, well, at least I went out swinging and I didn't not try. So that's a big thing to me. So like you probably, if you know me, you know this, I say this a lot, but to me, I don't really believe in failure. I believe more in, when you fail, you learn. So as long as you fall forward, as we call it, you're going to learn. So if you go to start a business, for instance, myself, I'm starting a business. If it works, cool, great. If it doesn't work, well, that sucks, but I don't look at it as like, oh, I just wasted hours of my life. I look at it as, well, now that'll help me for my next endeavor, whatever it may be. So that's kind of what fueled me. So I'm going to be cutting this podcast off here shortly, but like I said, building value, I just want to touch on what we went over. Building value is huge. Big fan in that. If you have your own business, or even if you don't have your own business and you're an employee somewhere else, whatever you're doing, think of it, provide value. If you become the guy that always helps someone or always answers it and you don't expect anything in return, you might not see the results immediately, but it's going to come back around. I'm a big fan, I'm a big believer in like the whole karma thing. So it's like, myself, for instance, I've been trying to provide as much value to my customers as I can throughout the last 2 years, and lately a lot of good things in business have been happening, and things have been falling in place, and growth is occurring. So that doesn't just happen, randomly. It's an accumulation of events. It's like building a snowman. I say, you start building, you roll the snow. It starts small, it gets bigger and bigger. So the more you do it, the better better things turn out. And like I said, there's going to be people out there who you provide them with value, and they might not ever do business from you, and that's okay. That's okay to me because, like I said, my goal is just to help people. So obviously, yes, you do want them to buy from you, but you helping that person or being nice to that person, they might not buy from you, but they might tell their friend, you know what, I talked to this guy and I didn't even buy from him, but he gave me a half hour of his time. He stayed at work past their time and talked to me, blah, blah, blah. So things like that, they add up. And then norms, like I said, I'm a big fan of doing what you want to do. So if you want to go out and live this lavish life, then go for it, by all means. But if you do get judged by friends or family or whoever, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is, stop and think. And like if you need to work more to achieve your goals, that's what you gotta do. If you gotta sacrifice going out and your friends get upset at you, in the end of the day, you gotta do what's best for you. So you're not gonna make everyone happy in life. That I've realized that too. So you gotta pick and choose your battles. But yeah, so I think we're gonna end there. If you're listening to this, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is the third episode here. We're going to be having more soon. I've got some more cool entrepreneurs, guests, musicians, artists that are going to be coming on here in the near future. So stay tuned for that. And go be sure to follow me on Instagram at Instapreneur. That is going to be this account. If you have a dog or you need any help dog training, you could go follow my dog training account, which is at the Crafty Pup. I'm very active on the Crafty Pup. The Instapreneur, not as much at the moment, but we'll get there. So cool, guys. I want to thank you for tuning in. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, you can either comment below here in the YouTube section, or feel free to DM me. I'm more than happy to talk to you about this, let you know your thoughts, or if you have any topics you'd like me to talk about in the future, I'm open to suggestions. So with that being said, I'm Jimmy C., host of the Instapreneur Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm signing off. I need to go get some sleep. Peace.